Small town of Crestview buzzed with excitement as Lucy, the charming daughter of the prestigious local judge, married Adam, the admired young doctor. The church was filled with roses and lilies, their sweet fragrance mingling with the soft murmur of the guests. Lucy walked down the aisle in a simple yet elegant dress, her eyes locked onto Adam's as if the world had narrowed to just the two of them. Adam couldn't take his eyes off her, his heart swelling with love and pride. They exchanged vows with trembling voices, promising to love each other until death did them part. The reception at the town's most exclusive hotel was a lavish affair. Guests mingled, sipping champagne and sharing stories about the happy couple. Lucy looked radiant, her smile lighting up the room. The atmosphere was festive and joyous. The grand ballroom was adorned with cascading floral arrangements, and the soft glow of crystal chandeliers bathed the room in an elegant light. Music floated gently in the background, adding to the celebratory spirit. As the evening progressed, the guests moved seamlessly between conversations, laughter echoing through the hall. Friends and family gathered around, recounting fond memories and toasting to Lucy and Adam's future. Each table was a small island of joy, adorned with delicate centerpieces and flickering candles that danced in the soft breeze from the open terrace doors. Lucy and Adam moved through the crowd, thanking everyone for their presence. Adam, ever the attentive husband, kept a protective arm around Lucy's waist, guiding her gracefully through the sea of well-wishers. They both radiated happiness, their love for each other evident in every glance and touch. The night continued with speeches from loved ones, each word filled with warmth and affection. Lucy's father spoke fondly of his daughter, his voice cracking with emotion as he welcomed Adam into their family. Adam's best friend shared stories of their childhood, eliciting laughter and a few tears from the guests. Each speech was a testament to the couple's bond and the love that surrounded them. As the evening wore on, the dance floor beckoned. Lucy and Adam took to the floor for their first dance as husband and wife. The room hushed as they swayed to the music, lost in their own world. Their movements were fluid and graceful, a silent conversation of love and commitment. Around them, the guests watched, some with tears in their eyes, others with smiles of pure joy. Once the dance floor opened to everyone, the celebration truly came alive. Guests of all ages joined in, the music shifting from slow ballads to upbeat tunes that had everyone on their feet. Laughter and music filled the air, creating a tapestry of memories that would last a lifetime. Throughout the night, Lucy's smile never wavered. She was the epitome of joy, her happiness infectious. Adam, too, seemed to glow with pride and love. They were surrounded by friends and family, each person adding to the mosaic of their perfect day. As the reception drew to a close, the couple stood hand in hand, looking out over their loved ones. They felt a deep sense of gratitude for the support and love that had been showered upon them. It was a night to remember, a beginning to a journey they would embark on together, fortified by the love and blessings of those around them. As the evening wore on, the once festive and joyous atmosphere began to shift. The guests, who had been sharing stories and laughter over glasses of champagne, now found themselves engaged in quieter, more speculative conversations. Whispers started to circulate among the crowd. At first, they were nothing more than innocent gossip, comments on the bride's dress, the lavish decorations, or the quality of the hors d'oeuvres. But as minutes turned into hours, these whispers grew louder, morphing into something more insidious. Glances that were once appreciative turned into stares filled with curiosity and suspicion. The air grew thick with an undercurrent of unease, a stark contrast to the earlier cheerfulness. Lucy, glowing in her bridal radiance, was too absorbed in the whirlwind of her wedding day to notice the subtle change at first. She moved from guest to guest, her laughter and smile as genuine as ever, dismissing the whispers as nothing more than wedding jitters. However, the tension was palpable. Clusters of guests huddled together, their conversations becoming more animated, their eyes frequently darting towards Lucy and Adam. The whispered words and furtive glances seemed to pass like a ripple through the crowd, growing in intensity as they spread. Lucy began to feel a strange sensation, a prickling at the back of her neck, as if she were being watched. She tried to shake it off, attributing it to the overwhelming nature of the day. Yet, the feeling persisted. She noticed how people would quickly turn away when she caught their gaze, how conversations would abruptly stop when she approached. It was unsettling, but she forced herself to ignore it, focusing instead on the joy of her wedding day. She convinced herself that it was all in her head, that she was simply overthinking things. As the night wore on, the whispers did not die down. Instead, they seemed to grow in volume and intensity. The once lively and celebratory reception now felt like a stage, with Lucy and Adam at the center, under the scrutinizing eyes of their audience. The joyous laughter was now replaced with hushed tones and speculative murmurs. Lucy's unease grew, but she clung to the hope that it was all just a figment of her imagination, a side effect of the day's emotional highs and lows. She continued to mingle, her smile unwavering, but a seed of doubt had been planted deep within her heart, its roots slowly spreading with each passing whisper. Lucy had been floating through the reception, her heart light and her mind filled with the joy of the day. She had always imagined her wedding day would be perfect, and so far, it had been. The whispers and sudden shifts in the atmosphere had been easy to dismiss. After all, she was the bride, and surely, everyone was just talking about how beautiful everything was. She had brushed off the unease, attributing it to her own nerves. But then, she saw him. Adam was in the far corner of the room, his back turned to the crowd. He was talking to a woman Lucy didn't recognize. The woman was tall, with striking features, and she seemed to be listening intently to whatever Adam was saying. Lucy's heart began to pound harder, her earlier unease evolving into something more tangible. She moved closer, trying not to draw attention to herself. As she approached, she could hear Adam's voice. It wasn't the words that shook her, but the tone. He was laughing, a sound so different from the laugh she knew, so foreign and unsettling. It was a laugh filled with an intimacy that made Lucy's stomach churn. Adam leaned in, and Lucy's breath caught in her throat. He kissed the woman on the cheek, a gesture that seemed so casual, yet so loaded with meaning. Lucy felt as if the ground beneath her feet had given way. Every happy memory of the day shattered in an instant, replaced by a cold, crushing reality. She stood there, frozen, watching the scene unfold as if she were an outsider looking in, her heart breaking with each passing second. Adam's betrayal was like a knife twisting in her chest, and she couldn't breathe. The world around her blurred, the sounds of the reception fading into a distant hum. Lucy wanted to scream, to run, to confront Adam right then and there, but her legs felt like lead. She managed to turn away, her vision clouded with tears. She needed to get out, to escape the suffocating atmosphere. Everything she had believed about her marriage, about Adam, was crumbling before her eyes, and she was powerless to stop it. As she made her way towards the exit, she felt the weight of the room's attention shift towards her. The whispers grew louder, merging into a cacophony of pity and speculation. The guests' eyes followed her every move, their expressions a mix of curiosity and concern. Lucy didn't care. She needed to be alone, to process the betrayal that had just ripped her world apart. She stepped outside, the cool night air hitting her like a slap. It was refreshing, a stark contrast to the stifling atmosphere inside. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself, but the pain was overwhelming. She leaned against the wall, her body shaking with silent sobs. In that moment, Lucy realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The man she had trusted, the man she had vowed to spend her life with, had betrayed her in the most heart-wrenching way. She knew she had to confront him, to demand answers, but right now, all she could do was feel the crushing weight of her shattered heart. The night sky seemed to mirror her despair, the stars cold and distant. Lucy wrapped her arms around herself, trying to hold the pieces of her broken heart together. She didn't know what the future held, but she knew one thing for certain. The innocence of her love for Adam had been lost, and in its place was a chasm of doubt and pain. With a deep breath, Lucy stepped forward. The joyous atmosphere that had filled the room moments ago seemed to vanish as she made her way through the crowd. Adam's smile faded instantly, replaced by a look of shock and panic as he saw Lucy standing there, her eyes brimming with tears. The guests, sensing the shift in mood, fell silent, their chatter dying down as they watched the scene unfold. Lucy's mind raced, her heart a tumultuous storm of emotions. She had always trusted Adam implicitly, never doubting his love and commitment. But now, standing before him, she felt a surge of betrayal that threatened to overwhelm her. Her gaze shifted to the woman standing next to Adam, who looked equally startled and uneasy. The woman, sensing the tension, immediately claimed to be Adam's colleague. Her voice was steady, but Lucy could see the flicker of guilt and fear in her eyes. It was enough to confirm Lucy's worst suspicions. Adam's expression mirrored the woman's, his eyes darting nervously, unable to meet Lucy's gaze. He seemed to be searching for words, but none came. The guests, too, were frozen in place, their eyes wide with curiosity and shock. The festive atmosphere had been replaced by a heavy silence, thick with unspoken questions and judgments. Lucy felt the weight of their stares, but she remained focused on Adam, waiting for him to offer some explanation, some justification for what she had just witnessed. But Adam remained silent, his face pale and drawn. The realization of the gravity of the situation seemed to hit him all at once, and he took a step back, his hands trembling. Lucy's heart ached at the sight of him, but she knew she couldn't let herself be swayed by his distress. She needed answers, and she needed them now. The woman, sensing the growing tension, tried to step forward, but Lucy held up a hand to stop her. She didn't want to hear any more excuses or lies. She needed to hear the truth from Adam, and only Adam. The silence stretched on, each second feeling like an eternity. Finally, Adam took a deep breath, his eyes meeting Lucy's for the first time since she had confronted him. There was a mixture of sorrow and regret in his gaze, and Lucy felt a pang of hope. Maybe, just maybe, there was a way to salvage their relationship. But as Adam opened his mouth to speak, Lucy knew that whatever he said would change their lives forever. The room remained silent, the guests holding their breath, waiting for the moment that would undoubtedly be the turning point in Lucy and Adam's story. And as Lucy braced herself for whatever was about to come, she knew that no matter what happened next, she would face it with strength and determination. Without another word, Lucy turned and walked out of the room, her dress trailing behind her. The guests watched in stunned silence, their eyes wide with shock. The festive atmosphere that had filled the room moments before evaporated, replaced by an oppressive stillness. Adam stood speechless, realizing the gravity of what had just happened. His mind raced, trying to comprehend the full impact of Lucy's departure. The room seemed to hold its breath as Lucy made her way through the grand hallway of the hotel. Her footsteps echoed softly against the marble floor, each step heavy with the weight of her decision. She felt the eyes of the guests boring into her back, their whispers following her, but she kept her head high, determined not to break down in front of them. Adam remained rooted to the spot, his eyes fixed on the doorway through which Lucy had disappeared. His heart pounded in his chest, a mix of panic and regret surging through him. He wanted to run after her, to beg for her forgiveness, but his legs felt like lead. The woman who had been standing next to him slowly backed away, sensing the intensity of the moment. As Lucy stepped outside, the cool night air hit her like a wave, momentarily clearing her mind. She took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions inside her. The moonlight cast a silver glow on her tear-streaked face, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sorrow and resolve. She felt a pang of sadness as she thought about the vows she had exchanged with Adam just hours earlier, now shattered by his betrayal. Inside, the guests began to murmur, their voices rising in a crescendo of speculation and disbelief. Some looked at Adam with pity, while others whispered harsh judgments. Adam finally broke free from his paralysis, his mind made up. He had to find Lucy and make things right. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring the questioning looks and whispers, his only focus on reaching her. Lucy reached the edge of the hotel's garden, a beautifully manicured space that now felt like a stark contrast to the turmoil in her heart. She paused, her mind replaying the events of the evening. She had been so happy, so full of hope and love, only to have it all come crashing down. A sob escaped her lips, and she covered her face with her hands, trying to hold back the flood of tears. Adam found her there, standing alone in the garden. He approached her slowly, his heart aching at the sight of her pain. He wanted to reach out, to comfort her, but he knew that words alone would not be enough. He stood a few feet away, giving her space, his own eyes filled with sorrow and regret. Lucy sensed his presence and turned to face him, her eyes red and swollen from crying. She looked at him, seeing the anguish in his expression, but it did little to ease her own pain. She felt a deep sense of betrayal, the image of him with another woman etched into her mind. Adam took a tentative step forward, his voice breaking as he tried to explain. He spoke of mistakes, of misunderstandings, but Lucy barely heard him. Her mind was a whirlwind of conflicting emotions, torn between the love she still felt for him and the hurt that now overshadowed it. The night deepened around them, the world seeming to hold its breath as they stood there, two souls caught in a moment of profound sadness and uncertainty. The future felt uncertain, the path ahead shrouded in shadows. But in that moment, amidst the heartache and confusion, a small glimmer of hope remained, a faint light that might guide them through the darkness. As Lucy turned to leave, Adam reached out, his hand trembling. He didn't know if she would ever forgive him, but he knew he had to try. He watched her walk away, her figure gradually fading into the night, and vowed to do whatever it took to make things right. The journey ahead would be long and difficult, but he was determined to fight for their love, no matter the cost. Days turned into weeks, and the silence between Lucy and Adam grew heavier with each passing moment. Lucy had moved back into her childhood home, seeking solace and the familiar comfort of her parents' presence. Her once bright spirit seemed dim, as if a shadow had settled over her heart. She remained silent, her lips sealed shut with the weight of her pain, refusing to speak to Adam or acknowledge his attempts to reach out. Adam, on the other hand, was engulfed in a storm of regret and desperation. Each day, He tried to bridge the chasm that had opened between them. He sent flowers, their vibrant colors a stark contrast to the gray mood that had settled over Lucy's world. He wrote letters, pouring his heart out in ink, hoping that his words could somehow mend the wounds he had inflicted. But each bouquet lay wilting on the front porch, and each letter remained unopened, a testament to Lucy's steadfast resolve to shut him out. Lucy's parents watched their daughter with worried eyes, their hearts aching to see her so broken. They offered their support in silent gestures, a cup of tea, a gentle touch on her shoulder, a warm blanket draped over her as she stared blankly out the window. They respected her need for space, knowing that healing could not be rushed, but their concern grew with each passing day of her silence. Adam found himself standing in front of the house almost daily, his heart pounding in his chest as he hoped for even the smallest sign that Lucy might be willing to listen. He could see the curtains flutter occasionally, a brief glimpse of Lucy's silhouette, but she never came to the door. His apologies, his pleas for forgiveness, all seemed to vanish into the void that now separated them. The once joyous and bustling atmosphere of the wedding ceremony felt like a distant memory, overshadowed by the sorrow that now consumed them. Adam replayed the events of that fateful night over and over in his mind, wishing he could turn back time and erase his mistakes. He wondered if Lucy would ever be able to look at him without the pain and betrayal clouding her eyes. One day, Adam noticed a small, handwritten note pinned to one of his unopened letters. It was from Lucy's mother, a gentle plea for him to give Lucy the space she needed to heal. She assured him that Lucy was surrounded by love and support, but that his constant presence was an added burden on her already fragile state. Adam read the note with a heavy heart, realizing that sometimes the best way to show love was to step back and allow time to do its work. Reluctantly, Adam retreated, though his thoughts remained with Lucy every moment. He focused on his work, hoping that through helping others, he might find a semblance of peace. Each evening, he would return to his empty home, the silence echoing the void in his heart. He longed for the day when Lucy might find it in herself to at least hear him out, to allow him the chance to make amends. Lucy, meanwhile, wrestled with her emotions in the quiet of her room. She read the letters Adam had sent, her heart breaking a little more with each heartfelt word. She could feel his sincerity, his regret, but the pain of his betrayal was a wound that was not easily healed. She lay awake at night, tears streaming down her face as she grappled with the conflicting desires of her heart and mind. In the sanctuary of her parents' home, Lucy began to find small moments of peace. She took long walks through the familiar woods, the rustling leaves a soothing balm to her troubled soul. She spent time with old friends, their presence a reminder of happier times. Slowly, she began to reconnect with the person she was before the heartache, finding strength in the love and support that surrounded her. Yet, despite the comfort of her surroundings, Lucy could not escape the memories of Adam. She remembered the way he had looked at her on their wedding day, the love and joy in his eyes. She thought of the promises they had made, the future they had envisioned together. The conflict within her grew, the desire to forgive warring with the fear of being hurt again. As weeks turned into months, Lucy found herself at a crossroads. She knew that she could not remain in limbo forever, that she needed to come to a decision about her future with Adam. She longed for closure, for a way to move forward, whether that meant rebuilding their relationship or letting go for good. With a heavy heart, Lucy penned a letter of her own. She poured out her pain, her fears, and her hopes for the future. She wrote of the love she still felt for Adam, despite everything, and her desire to find a way through the darkness that had enveloped them. As she sealed the envelope, she felt a sense of relief, a small glimmer of hope that perhaps this could be the first step towards healing. She left the letter on the porch for Adam to find, and then she waited. One rainy afternoon, Adam stood on Lucy's doorstep, soaking wet from the downpour. His heart pounded in his chest as he knocked, praying she would answer. Moments later, the door creaked open, and there she was, her face a mask of cautious curiosity and lingering pain. He begged her to listen, to let him explain, his voice trembling with desperation. Reluctantly, Lucy stepped aside, allowing him into the house that once felt like home. They sat in silence on the living room couch, the rain drumming steadily against the window, creating a melancholic symphony. Adam's clothes clung to his body, a testament to his determination to make things right. He struggled to find the words, his mind racing through the memories of their happier times and the single moment of weakness that shattered it all. With a deep breath, Adam began to speak, his voice barely above a whisper. He confessed his mistakes, acknowledging the betrayal that had caused her so much pain. He swore it was a one-time lapse, a moment of madness that he regretted with every fiber of his being. His eyes pleaded for understanding, for the chance to make amends. Lucy listened quietly, her gaze fixed on the rain-soaked window. Her heart ached, torn between the love she once felt and the betrayal that now clouded her emotions. She had loved Adam with all her heart, believed in their future together, and now she was left grappling with the shards of her broken trust. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. As Adam continued to speak, his voice cracked with emotion, recounting the depth of his remorse and the steps he had taken to ensure such a mistake would never happen again. He spoke of the sleepless nights, the endless guilt that gnawed at him, and the realization that he had jeopardized the most precious relationship of his life. His sincerity was palpable, but Lucy's pain was a formidable barrier. The rain outside showed no sign of letting up, mirroring the storm of emotions within the room. Lucy's tears began to fall, silent witnesses to her internal struggle. She wanted to believe him, to find solace in his words, but the wound was fresh and the scars ran deep. She fought to keep her composure, her heart and mind locked in a fierce battle. Adam reached out, his hand trembling as it hovered near hers, unsure if he had the right to touch her. The gesture was a silent plea, a desperate hope that she would find it in her heart to forgive. Lucy glanced at his hand, the memories of their shared past flooding her mind. She remembered the way he used to hold her, the warmth of his embrace, and the promises they made on their wedding day. The room seemed to close in around them, the weight of their emotions pressing down like a suffocating blanket. Lucy finally turned to face Adam, her eyes reflecting the turmoil within. She could see the sincerity in his gaze, the raw vulnerability that spoke of a man who had realized the gravity of his actions. Yet, the question remained, could she ever trust him again? The rain continued its relentless descent, a backdrop to the pivotal moment in their relationship. Adam's confession hung in the air, a fragile thread of hope that could either mend their broken bond or snap under the strain of betrayal. Lucy knew the decision was hers to make, a choice that would define the course of their future. As they sat there, the silence between them slowly transformed. It was no longer just an absence of sound, but a space filled with the possibility of forgiveness and the daunting challenge of rebuilding trust. The journey ahead was uncertain, fraught with pain and doubt, but also with the potential for healing and renewal. In that moment, Lucy realized that the path to forgiveness would not be easy, but it was a road she was willing to consider. The rain outside began to lighten, as if offering a glimmer of hope. They both knew that the journey ahead would be long and arduous, but for the first time since the betrayal, there was a flicker of possibility, a chance to rebuild what was broken and emerge stronger on the other side. Lucy listened quietly, tears streaming down her face as Adam's words hung in the air. Each tear felt like a piece of her heart breaking away, a testament to the love she had once held so dear. She had given everything to Adam, had woven her dreams and future around him, and now, in this moment, all of that seemed to unravel. The betrayal cut deep, deeper than she thought possible, and it left her reeling, searching for solid ground in a sea of pain. As she struggled with her emotions, memories of their life together flashed before her eyes. She remembered their first date, the way he had looked at her as if she were the only person in the world. She remembered the laughter they shared, the quiet moments of understanding, and the dreams they had built together. But now, those memories felt tainted, overshadowed by the image of Adam with another woman, an image that refused to leave her mind. The silence between them was heavy, filled with unspoken words and unaddressed pain. Adam's confession echoed in her head, his voice trembling as he swore it was a one-time lapse. But could she believe him? Could she trust him again after such a betrayal? The questions swirled in her mind, each one more painful than the last. Lucy felt torn, her heart waging a war with her mind. Part of her wanted to believe Adam, to hold onto the love they had shared and find a way to move past this. But another part of her, the part that felt the sting of betrayal so acutely, couldn't see a way forward. She was caught in a web of conflicting emotions, unable to find a clear path. As the rain continued to drum against the window, Lucy's thoughts drifted to the future. What did it hold for her and Adam? Could they rebuild what had been broken, or was this the end of their journey together? The uncertainty was almost too much to bear, and it weighed heavily on her heart. She looked at Adam, his face a mask of regret and sorrow. She could see the pain in his eyes, the desperation for her forgiveness. But forgiveness wasn't something she could give easily, not after what had happened. It would take time, and even then, there were no guarantees. In that moment, Lucy realized that her journey was just beginning. She would have to navigate through her pain, find a way to heal, and decide what was best for her. Whether that path included Adam was still uncertain, but she knew she had to take the first step, no matter how difficult it might be. The storm outside mirrored the turmoil within her, a constant reminder of the challenges she faced. But as the rain began to ease, Lucy felt a glimmer of hope. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. She wasn't sure what the future held, but she knew she had the strength to face it. One step at a time, Lucy wrestled with her feelings for weeks, the weight of the betrayal lingering in her mind like a dark cloud. Every night, as she lay in bed, the memories would replay themselves, Adam's laughter with the woman, the hush that fell over the room, and the pain in her heart when she realized the truth. Despite her efforts to distract herself, the thoughts were relentless, gnawing at her sanity. She had loved Adam deeply, and the wound he had inflicted was deep and raw. Her friends and family were supportive, offering advice and solace. Her mother, often sitting by her side, would stroke her hair and remind her of her strength. Her father, though stern and protective, encouraged her to make a decision that would bring her peace. Yet, the decision was not easy. Forgiveness seemed both a distant dream and an inevitable necessity. Could she ever look at Adam without seeing the shadow of his betrayal? One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Lucy sat by the window, lost in thought. The house was quiet, the only sound being the faint rustling of leaves outside. She felt an odd sense of clarity. She realized that holding onto her anger and pain was only hurting her further. It was time to confront her past and decide her future. She picked up her phone and typed a brief message to Adam, inviting him over one last time. Her fingers trembled as she hit send, but there was a resolve in her heart. She needed closure, one way or another. The following day, Adam arrived, his face a mixture of hope and apprehension. Lucy greeted him at the door, her expression unreadable. They walked into the living room, the air thick with unspoken words. Adam looked around, noticing the familiar surroundings, and felt a pang of nostalgia. Lucy took a deep breath, her heart pounding. She had rehearsed this moment countless times in her head. She gestured for Adam to sit, and then she began to speak, her voice steady but filled with emotion. She spoke of the love they had shared, the dreams they had built together, and the life they had envisioned. She recounted the pain she had felt, the sleepless nights, and the tears that had flowed freely. Adam listened, his eyes glistening with tears. He knew he had hurt her deeply and regretted every moment of it. As she spoke, Lucy felt a sense of release. The words flowed freely, and with each sentence, the burden on her heart lightened. She talked about forgiveness, not just for Adam, but for herself. She needed to let go of the past to find peace, regardless of what the future held for them. When she finished, there was a moment of silence. Adam looked at her, his eyes filled with remorse and hope. He reached out, gently taking her hand. Lucy didn't pull away. Instead, she looked into his eyes, searching for sincerity. She saw a man who had made a terrible mistake, but was willing to do whatever it took to make amends. In that moment, Lucy made her decision. She didn't know if their relationship would ever be the same, but she was willing to try. She was willing to forgive, not because it was easy, but because it was necessary for her healing. She knew it would be a long and difficult journey, filled with challenges and uncertainties. But she was ready to take the first step. Adam, sensing her resolve, promised to do everything in his power to regain her trust. He knew it would be a long road, but he was committed to proving his love and dedication. They sat together in silence for a while, the weight of the past slowly lifting. As the days turned into weeks and then months, Lucy and Adam worked tirelessly to rebuild their relationship. There were moments of doubt and fear, but there were also moments of joy and rediscovery. They learned to communicate openly, to trust, and to support each other. Their love, though scarred, began to heal and grow stronger. They spent more time together, creating new memories and cherishing the old ones. They took long walks in the park, shared quiet dinners, and talked late into the night. They learned to laugh again, finding solace in each other's company. Slowly, the wounds began to heal, and the pain of the past faded. One evening, as they stood together, watching the sunset over Crestview, Lucy felt a sense of peace. She knew their journey was far from over, but she was confident in their love. They had faced their darkest moments and emerged stronger. Together, they could face anything. Their love story, though imperfect, was a testament to the power of forgiveness and the resilience of the human heart. In each other, they found not just a partner, but a true companion. And as they stood there, hand in hand, they knew that their love would continue to grow, stronger and more beautiful with each passing day. Adam walked through the door, feeling the weight of anticipation in the air. Lucy stood there, her eyes solemn but resolute. Without a word, She handed him a letter, her hands trembling slightly. Adam took it, his heart pounding as he unfolded the paper. The room seemed to hold its breath as he began to read. In the letter, Lucy had poured out her heart. She had written about the pain that had consumed her since that fateful night, the betrayal that had shattered her world. Her words painted a vivid picture of sleepless nights and endless tears, of the agony of loving someone who had broken her trust. Yet, amidst the sorrow, there was a glimmer of hope. She spoke of the memories they had shared, the dreams they had once woven together, and the love that had not completely faded despite everything. As Adam read, tears welled up in his eyes. He felt the depth of Lucy's hurt and the sincerity of her words. She had written about her struggle between forgiveness and the fear of being hurt again. She confessed that she still loved him, but it was a love marred by doubt and uncertainty. She expressed her hope for a future where they could rebuild what was broken, but she also made it clear that it would require time, effort, and unwavering commitment. The letter ended with a simple yet powerful message. She was willing to try, but it was up to him to prove that their love was worth fighting for. Adam folded the letter carefully, his hands shaking. He looked at Lucy, who was watching him with a mixture of hope and apprehension. He saw the faint flicker of forgiveness in her eyes and felt a surge of determination. In that moment, Adam realized the enormity of the task ahead. It would not be easy to regain Lucy's trust, but he was ready to do whatever it took. He took a step closer to her, his eyes never leaving hers, silently promising that he would not let her down again. Lucy's expression softened, and for the first time in weeks, there was a hint of a smile on her lips. The journey towards healing had begun. It would be a long and arduous path, filled with challenges and moments of doubt. But as they stood there, the letter between them symbolizing a bridge between past pain and future hope, there was a sense of renewed possibility. They both knew that love, if nurtured with care and patience, could overcome even the deepest wounds. As the days turned into weeks and then months, Lucy and Adam worked tirelessly to rebuild their relationship. There were times when the pain resurfaced and arguments erupted, but they held on to the promise they had made to each other. They attended counseling sessions, learning to communicate openly and honestly. They revisited the places that held cherished memories, slowly replacing the hurt with new, happier moments. There were setbacks, moments when doubt threatened to overshadow their progress. But each time, they chose to stay and fight for their love. They celebrated small victories, like the first time Lucy laughed at one of Adam's jokes again, or the evening they spent watching the sunset without the shadow of the past looming over them. Through it all, they discovered a deeper, more resilient love. It was a love that had been tested by fire and had emerged stronger. They learned to appreciate each other anew, to cherish the moments of joy and to navigate the moments of pain with grace. They found that forgiveness was not a one-time act, but a continuous choice, made every day with intention and love. As they stood together one evening, watching the sunset over Crestview, they felt a sense of peace. The journey had not been easy, but it had been worth it. They had faced the storm and had come out on the other side, their love not only intact but fortified. Hand in hand, they looked towards the future with hope, ready to face whatever came their way, knowing that together they could overcome anything. Months had passed, and Lucy and Adam were slowly rebuilding their relationship. It was a painstaking process, peppered with tears, arguments, and innumerable moments of doubt. Lucy often found herself battling the shadows of betrayal that lurked in the corners of her mind. Adam, on the other hand, was relentless in his efforts to regain her trust. He understood that love sometimes meant forgiving the unforgivable, and he was determined to prove his worthiness. They spent countless evenings talking through their pain, finding solace in each other's honesty. They revisited places that held memories of happier times, trying to reclaim the joy they once knew. There were days when it seemed impossible, when the weight of their past mistakes threatened to crush their fragile attempts at reconciliation. But they held on to their love, knowing that it was worth fighting for. Lucy often found herself watching Adam when he wasn't looking, searching his face for signs of the man she had fallen in love with. She saw the same earnest eyes, the same gentle smile, and slowly, she began to believe in their future again. Adam noticed these moments of quiet scrutiny and responded with patience and understanding. He never pushed, allowing Lucy to come to terms with her feelings at her own pace. Their journey was far from smooth. There were arguments that left them both feeling raw and exposed. There were nights when Lucy cried herself to sleep, gripped by a fear that she would never be able to trust Adam completely. But each time, Adam was there, his presence a constant reminder of his commitment to making things right. He would hold her close, whispering words of reassurance until her sobs subsided. Gradually, the moments of doubt began to wane, replaced by small victories that strengthened their bond. They started to laugh together again, finding joy in the little things. They rediscovered the pleasure of shared silence, the comfort of simply being in each other's presence. Their love, once battered and bruised, began to heal. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over Crestview, Lucy and Adam stood together, hand in hand. The sight of the sunset, with its promise of a new day, mirrored their own journey. They had weathered the storm and emerged stronger for it. Their love, tempered by trials and tribulations, was now an unbreakable force. As they watched the sky transform into a canvas of warm hues, Lucy felt a sense of peace wash over her. She knew that their path ahead would not be without challenges, but she also knew that they would face them together. Adam squeezed her hand, his silent promise echoing her own resolve. In that moment, standing together against the backdrop of the setting sun, Lucy and Adam found a renewed sense of hope. Their love, once fractured, had been painstakingly rebuilt, and it was stronger than ever. They had learned that true love was not just about the good times, but about weathering the storms and emerging stronger on the other side. And so, with hearts full of love and determination, they faced the future, ready to embrace whatever it held. The sunset over Crestview marked not just the end of a day, but the beginning of a new chapter in their lives, one filled with the promise of a love that had been tested and had triumphed.